Welcome to Light Warrior Radio, where our mission is to empower sensitive souls to harness their superpowers and shine their light, so together we can co-create heaven on earth. I'm your host, Dr. qlQuantum, author of the #1 best-selling book, Sensitivity is Your Superpower, and founder of the Academy of Light Medicine and the 𝗛𝗘𝗟𝗣𝗨 Healing Method. Thank you for joining me. Light warriors sometimes complain, why am I getting what I don't want? Here is the thing. Sometimes we need clarity on what it is we do desire to manifest, create, materialize in this world. And through contrast, we gain clarity. Yes. One of the prosperity teachers, 𝗛𝗟𝗡𝗨𝗟, used to say, probably still does, that the biggest reason that people don't get what they want is because they don't know what they want. Now, when we, in some of our Academy of Light Medicine programs, prompt our light warriors to imagine what their life is like when there is peace, harmony, prosperity, love, joy for all, at times people have said, I can't do it. I don't know. I don't see anything, or I just see what life is like right now, which is what I don't want, right? So sometimes the contrast can be helpful. For example, if you do a very simple exercise, and if you're like, well, I'm not really clear how to write down what it is I do desire, that's okay. Write down everything you don't desire. I know that sounds kind of crazy, but it can be really helpful to clarify what it is you do want. For example, in my Unlock Your Superpowers program, that should be renamed Unlock Your Manifesting Superpowers program, a student once said, well, okay, I don't want an alcoholic as a husband. I've had two. I said, all right, well, how would you change that to the affirmative or positive way of saying things? And she was like, clueless. I said, well, what about health conscious? Oh, yeah, I like that, right? She was so focused on what she didn't like in the past, it gave her clarity of what she did desire in the future. However, she just didn't have the words. So it's okay to be really clear on what it is you do not like and do not enjoy. In fact, you may even, old school, may even put on a piece of paper with a line in the middle. Remember, paper? Left side, right side. So the left side is like, what are the things that I do not like, do not prefer, wish it was gone, wish I never had to do them again, whatever you can think of. And then on the right side, what is the polar opposite of that? And see if you can write down words that are in the affirmative. Instead of I don't want such and such, what is it that you do want? So here are some more examples. I don't want to be in debt. Okay. Well, what's the opposite, or what's even better than not being in debt? Well, being prosperous, having the resources to do whatever it is I desire to do spontaneously in the moment, even if it is taking a trip to Sedona, Arizona, or something like that, without necessarily having to stress out about it or not knowing where the resources are going to come from. Maybe it is that you desire freedom to choose what it is you desire to do the next day without necessarily having to worry about or be concerned about, what happens if I don't show up for my job today, right? Things like that. Now, even if you don't believe that it is possible today, when you can imagine and use that beautiful brain and imagination of yours, whatever you can imagine is actually real. It's just that it is in an etheric plane that has not materialized into the physical. Can you imagine if it was that fast? I'd say blue elephant in your living room, and all of a sudden a blue elephant would materialize in your living room, and it would take a pretty big poop, let me tell you. That big an elephant, right? So we're lucky in a way that things do not materialize suddenly because, you know, we could hurt people by accident with our random thoughts. So we don't have necessarily good control of all of our thoughts and desires. However, anything that we can see, hear, feel, touch in our mind's eye, in our imagination, especially if we do it over and over again and with emotion, often will seed the quantum realm if we actually feed it with the energy of already having had it. There is a saying, ask and ye shall receive. It's not the full saying, apparently. Greg Braden talked about how it's, you know, ask and be surrounded by your answer, be surrounded by what it is you seek. Then that means basically, in my modern language, embody your new reality and imagine it both visually, but also kinesthetically, auditorily, you know, smell, taste, touch, you know, all the clairs, right? And that is how you actually pray. That's how you actually make a wish for the universe. So it's okay to have the contrast because clarity comes from that contrast. Sometimes we don't even know that we need clarity. So the universe is like, I'll help you out. I'll give you something and you can decide you like it or you don't like it, right? And you're like, whoa, okay, never thought of that one. Definitely don't like that. Maybe it's rutabagas you don't like. You know, maybe it's key lime pie you don't like. You know, whatever. I don't know. I must be hungry. I'm talking about food. Anyway, so it's okay to have contrast. And in fact, we're going to be talking about this as a spiritual pursuit, really, that we can welcome the contrast when it happens for us, not to us, for us, so we can gain that clarity. So lots to chew on here. Love to have you give me some feedback. What are your thoughts on this topic in the light medicine community? Come on in, tag me, remember to tag me so we can have a bit of a chat around this contrast. Are you experiencing contrast right now? And what is the clarity that comes from that contrast? What is it that you desire that is different or opposite of what you're experiencing? And how clear are you on what that looks like, feels like, sounds like, tastes like, you know, et cetera, et cetera. That's the kind of clarity that helps seed the quantum so you are more likely to get what you desire rather than what you don't desire. See you next time. Hey, thanks so much for watching this video. If it resonated with you, would love for you to hit subscribe and the like button and perhaps share it with someone who's like-minded who would appreciate it. And in the meantime, would love to connect with you in my light medicine community. It's absolutely free to join and it's for sensitive souls who wish to receive love and support and also to share who they really are. It's a safe space for each of us to really shine. So I'll put the link below as well as this week's offerings and freebies, and we will see you there.